Welcome to Mystery Garage. On this week's episode, we get down to business on some project updates. Welcome back to Mystery Garage. On this week's episode, I think we should get down to some project updates. If you're new to this channel, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this content. As we kind of started out this channel about 4 months ago now, I did start off with a project behind me, and it was an opportunity for me to finally kickstart my YouTube channel. Since then, things have kind of grown as far as, project scale and all the different things we're working on. So I thought today, it's a crappy day outside. It's an awesome opportunity for us to get up to speed on what I've been working on, both on the camera and off camera. There are a few things that I haven't shown you guys that I've had. You've seen little clips of it in the corners and edges of some of the videos, but I thought today would be a perfect day to address that. All right, let's jump into it with Project Stepchild. I thought we'd start here just because this is where the channel started. So, when I first brought this car home, again, I brought it home for parts, but then shortly thereafter, I fell in love with it. So if you want to kind of hear how I came across this car, go back to episode 1 or 2 and kind of get up to speed on how I came across this car. But as far as that's concerned, once I brought it home and fell in love with it, it was time to get to work. I really wanted to make this kind of my dream build, something that I've always dreamed in doing, and when I was younger, I didn't really have the available funds to kind of get there. So what I wanted to do was build something I should have built back then, or I wish I built back then, I guess I should say. And one of the looks I was really going for was very similar to this picture of the car I have on my wall. I love this car. I love everything about the styling of it. I love, just the simplicity of the car. So I wanted to take a lot of those styling cues and build kind of my own version of it. The simple, smaller chrome items, some deletions of some of the side trim and that kind of thing, as well as the BBS wheels and the color and everything. I thought that was such a cool car, so I wanted to build something very similar here. Now, what's not listed up in that picture there is kind of the powertrain options, and so that part was more or less an open book for me. One of the things I've always really wanted to do with the Mk1 is have it on carbs or independent throttle bodies. So this was my opportunity to kind of build that carb motor I've always wanted to have. And so in some of my earlier episodes, you saw me take this 16 valve out of the Scirocco and start getting into that. And I kind of put that on pause because as we started to get into it, I wanted to kind of develop a cooler motor than just a simple 16 valve. We started talking about building an ABF clone, which is basically the amalgamation of an ABA 2-liter and the 16 valve 2-liter. A lot of those parts you can swap together to really build a very credible ABF clone. And in doing so was a perfect motor for me to throw on carburetors. I was going to use Weber 45s, but since then I've had a bit of a development of a change of mind, let's say, in what I want to do with the engine in here. I'm going to leave that for a bit of a secret right now, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. But as we started to build, I started collecting parts. You can see we're going to do a little bit of a opening box right there. I have some stuff kind of stacked in the back there that I also want to open up today that parts came in for this project and kind of keep it moving along. I also started building with a friend, or the help of a friend of mine, Rare Spec Wheels. We started building the wheels for this project. These are some BBS RSs that I've built. They're 15-inch. We're going to be throwing that on this car as well. So we're really kind of bringing the car together and where I want to go with it. And again, where this car is currently is we're just doing some of the rust repair on it. It didn't have a lot of rust, thankfully, but it did have some issues I wanted to tackle. We tackled that front end. We tackled the rain scuttle. We also tackled the rocker panel. Take a quick walk around the car. There's not a lot more to do for the rust repair aspect. I haven't fully welded this together yet, just because I wanted to do some engine bay cleaning. The engine bay isn't fully stripped quite yet. We still have all the wiring there that needs to come out. I want to take apart the brake master and all that sort of stuff and really clean out the braking system on the car, delete some of the hoses and that kind of thing. But as we walk around the car, you can see there's not a lot of rust repair left. All the rockers on the car are really in really good shape, other than the one I already replaced. The interior, the floors, all that sort of stuff are in really good shape as well. And kind of as we move around to the back, there's only one little area left that I haven't quite addressed. We can take a look at that right now. Is right here, which is a very common spot for rust on these cars, and that's not a really big deal. I do have a patch panel that goes from across here for this portion to kind of really redo that. We still got to drop the beam out and take care of a lot of the stripping of the paint on this project. So that's kind of where we are to date now. Next thing to tackle on this car is continuing to move forward with stripping the car down and really getting down to a lot of the bare metal. We'll probably do a lot of paint stripping here, make sure everything's good to go there. We'll do a lot of bane cleaning up. We'll clean up the inner guards here, and a lot of that sort of stuff, and kind of really start to get to a point where this car is as stripped down as it's going to be and really start building this car back up. I want to make sure, you know, with this channel, we don't stall projects and take forever to move ahead with them. So we're going to get to work on this project a lot in the coming episodes. Now, where does the plot twist with this car? Well, it twists with the powertrain choice. You know, I do apologize if you guys are really on board with me building the ABF clone. You know, it's something I've always wanted to do. However, as I started to develop this channel and read the comments and read the questions and really see where the interest was going on this channel, a lot of people were interested in this VR6 build. And you know, one of my biggest regrets is when I built this car or started building this car, I didn't document it on YouTube. So here was an opportunity for me to maybe re-tackle that. You know, building this car, I learned a ton about, you know, VR6 swaps and things I would do or not do again and that sort of stuff. And I had a ton of questions of people asking me, you know, what did I do on this car? What are all the choices I made? You know, why did I do that? And I tried to summarize that in the walkthrough of this car. But I came across an opportunity to buy another VR6 drivetrain, and I couldn't hold back, so I did. But it was the opportunity for me to do another VR6, to keep to the build and the look of this car, but put a VR6 in it and do it all on YouTube and show it to you guys so we can build that together. One of the things I wanted to stick to, though, with the original powertrain was I really wanted to be on carbs or ITBs. If anybody's been in the Volkswagen industry long enough, one of the most iconic cars, at least in my life, was the big Ron Mk1. I thought that car was so cool. It did a VR6 swap before VR6 swaps were really common, and he built that car on ITBs. Unfortunately, it had a crash and a little bit of a fire, so that car no longer really exists. However, I want to build a car very similar to that, with sticking to the ITB or the carburetor setup that I originally wanted with the ABF build on this car, but do it with a VR6 powertrain swap. I've already ordered some parts to be able to do that, and I'll quickly show you my donor car. All right, here it is. This is my donor car. It is a 1995 Golf GTI. You might be looking at it and saying, hey, that looks like a Jetta to me. Well, that's because it's got a Jetta front end on it. It is actually indeed a Golf. And it came to me, or at least I found it, sitting in a field rat infested. This is probably one of the worst cars of condition that I've ever purchased. I don't mean rust, I mean the amount of crap that was inside, and I don't mean a small amount of rats. There was a ton of rats living in this thing. There was food in there, all that sort of stuff. So I took 2 or 3 days of me cleaning it up. I did buy the car not running. And you can see the windows smashed, sunroof smashed, the side glass is smashed. This is definitely donor quality type of car. Somebody had spent a great deal of money and time in this car. You know, it's got a European front bumper on it. It's got the earlier Golf black trim, that sort of thing. It's got Jetta E-codes on it. It's coilovers. It's got some strange Enki style wheels. But there's a lot of cool things about these early Golfs when doing swaps. The early stuff came with the 280 mil front brakes as opposed to the 288, and it doesn't have that same offset. It's more or less Corrado stuff in the front there. In the back, again, it's got disc brakes as well. So kind of what I'm not going to be using on this car, I will be selling off to kind of pay for this project. If you guys see anything you want, please feel free to hit me, probably on Instagram. Let me know what you might be interested in on this car that I may not be using. But like I said, I spent a great deal of time when I first brought this car home cleaning it up. As you can see here, I've since removed the front seats. I had to clean up all the rat mess and that kind of stuff. So I also did get the car, like I said, not running. and I spent some time off camera getting the car running. So it does run now. It runs pretty good actually. The one weird thing is that both drive axles are blown out, and I don't mean like the CV boots are blown out, I mean the axles themselves are actually blown up. I think it's probably because somebody tried to flat tow it at some point or something, and the car was just resisting moving and blew out the axles. So let's take a look at the powertrain real quick. And there we are in all of its glory. It's a OBD1 VR6 swap, which I will be using in the Red Rabbit. And again, to stick to kind of what I really want to do is I want to put this on ITBs or carburetors. Probably ITBs, to be honest with you. You can see here, I put that pod filter on just to make sure I didn't get any rats in the engine. But the wiring was all cut, the fuel lines were cut. So I don't really know what the intention was with this car. I feel like somebody was going to be parting it out at some point. It actually didn't come with any keys, so I can't get into the trunk either, other than going through the car. So in order to start the car up, I had to more or less hotwire it. But it is running now, and it fortunately doesn't drive or move because the axles are blown out. But it is the quintessential perfect donor car. So there we are, guys. That's kind of where we're going to get the powertrain from on this build, and we're going to do a VR6 swap all over again. Like I said before, I've already ordered some parts to get this done, so we will be looking at doing this in the short future. All right, next car to discuss real quick is my VR6 swap. Now, I brought this onto the channel, like I said, already more or less converted, and now since it's been on the channel, we've thrown that VF9 supercharger on it and that sort of stuff. Last episode, we took it for a quick rip. I mentioned a few episodes ago, I built this car to be a well-rounded all-around car originally. You know, I have a family and kids, and I have the back seats in the car and that sort of stuff. I mentioned that it's time to kind of take this car to the next level. I want to take away the well-roundedness about it and make it an aggressive, street drivable, kind of more or less race car. So in the coming episodes, we're going to be gutting the interior, actually putting in some race seats, probably throwing a cage in it to stiffen up the chassis. Nothing crazy, but a well-connected cage, and hopefully we'll show all that on the channel as well. And then I really want to make this car a lot more aggressive. So what we're going to do is going to order a Berg Cup kit, get that all set up. I want to do a round headlight swap on it as well, and then finish and paint this car and bring it to that next level. But again, you know, that's going to be in the future, and we'll make sure we document every step along the way. On top of all that, I really want to continue to work on fine-tuning this setup. I think I'm going to try and secure some dyno tuning time so we can get this car on a dyno and really start to dial in this whole setup. I don't want to just set it and forget it and think that that's good enough. I really want to make sure we can pull some good power out of this car. I want to make sure that it is a monster, not just dress it up like one. So one of the big things I want to continue to work on, not only stripping this car and making it a race car visually, I want to make sure that it truly is a performance-driven car. So dialing that sort of stuff in, getting it onto the dyno, making some upgrades, whether we choose to go to a built ECU or, a standalone ECU, or continue to see how much we can actually get out of this factory ECU that's in this car, whether we swap or chip it or whatever, to see if that's enough. But as we get into that, I'll start to show that. I hope to document that in the near future and continue to move this car along. Last but not least is the Caddy or pickup truck. You've seen in recent episodes me and my son starting building this truck together. Again, I bought this one as a potential runner. I wanted to keep it kind of on the street. It wasn't running when I bought it, but it was fairly well put together. Me and my son in the last couple of episodes, we stripped it down to kind of take a look at the rust issues, and the rust issues were a lot more than I kind of anticipated to run into. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was. So I think it was fair to pause the project in that moment. I didn't want to get into too many builds all at once. So I put the car on pause and rolled it into the shop here to kind of keep it in storage for now. The engine bay, the electrical, and all that sort of stuff, as you've seen in the previous episodes, are all stripped out. And my goal with this car was to make it into a 1.8T project. I did ask the question, or I prompted the question in some recent episodes ago, I think the second episode of this truck. I asked, what do you guys want to see me do? Do you want to see me kind of keep it on the street, or move quickly to throwing another 1.8 liter motor in it and get it running for now, drive it and kind of fine tune it and that sort of thing? Or do you want to see me just jump right into the whole 1.8T swap? I spent some time thinking about it. It's been quite a few weeks since we've gone into this car. I just kind of let it sit and figured out what I wanted to do with it. An opportunity arose about a week ago for me to find the donor project for this car. So rather than letting time go by and potentially losing the opportunity to buy that donor project, I bought it. So right behind me, you see a Mark IV 1.8 liter Golf. It's already been previously stripped by the owner who had it from me for the body panels and headlights and everything you see glass missing, you see missing from the car. But what it still does have is the 1.8T motor in it. I think it has about 178,000 or 180,000 kilometers on it, but it was an opportunity for me to buy that project. So let's take a look at that powertrain. So here it is. Unfortunately, this car isn't automatic, but it does have a well put together 1.8T in it. It's got most of the plastics, which are kind of hard to come by in decent shape. The engine was running. Again, the car was parted because of a transmission issue, but it was not some opportunity to get this car. And I did ask for the car still put together rather than him just pulling out the engine, because I like to, maybe I'm an OCD a little bit, but I like to have a lot of the pieces around the engine that kind of connected in there. It's not because I need them per se, but it's like I like to make a choice of what I want to keep. Do I want to keep the factory airbox or not? And that kind of thing. Do I want to keep some of the plumbing, or do I want to keep that sort of stuff? So I want to make the decision in the moment. So I like to have the whole car, much like me buying this VR6 donor. I'm able to pick and choose what I want to keep and what I want to leave. Like I said, this car has been fairly well stripped. It's missing glass and it's missing the interior and a lot of bits. The dash is completely taken apart, that sort of stuff. But it does have some decent donor items on the car that I can continue to use for this truck. But I thought it was a great opportunity for me to really kind of show you, what I want to achieve with this channel. I want to take older Mark 1s and I want to take newer drivetrains and show you how to drop them in there. Again, it's not a how-to, but it's a motivation for you guys to get out there and do the same thing. I've never particularly did this setup before, so this is gonna be a learning curve for me as well as we kind of get into it. I do have a transmission. The 2Y that I took out of the Scirocco I took apart of a while ago does have a limited slip in it, diff, so I want to make sure I mate this with that transmission and throw it in this truck. I'm going to be using the hydraulic clutch set up in this car in the red car, so we're going to be doing a hydraulic conversion on that. So again, those two things will be cool to show you, but I wanted to kind of show you guys the setups of what I've been working on in the background of the channel, what the project plans are. So to keep it very simple, this powertrain is going to be going in this car. The powertrain in this VR6 is going to be going into the red car in the garage, and this car here, which does have the ABA motor in it that I was going to be using on my ABF clone build, that motor will kind of remain in there for now because we're not going to end up getting to that particular build. I really want to start working on getting this VR6 into that car. So one thing I really want you guys to remember with all of this stuff, with all these cars I've bought here, is this channel is really meant to be on a budget. Nothing I've bought here exceeds a total of $5,000. So I've bought all of these cars. I know it seems like a lot of stuff, and including the red car that's in the garage, combined, I've spent less than 5,000 bucks. So I'm trying to really prove that this can all get done relatively inexpensively. Now, on top of all that, there still has been some other things going on around here as well. As you can see behind me, we got a set of wheels up there. Not only did I start building these RSs for the red car project, I also decided to build a set of 17 style 19s BBSs as well. And I've shown some of that on my Instagram channel, but I thought it was kind of cool to have a 17 option. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this set of wheels quite yet, whether I'm going to be using that on one of the cars I have or possibly selling them off. I'm not really entirely certain, but I plan to do a little bit of an in-depth episode in the near future of us actually building both 2- and 3-piece wheels and showing you guys a little bit of that if you don't already know it. If you've worked with some 2- or 3-piece wheel options before and you kind of know about that, well, hopefully it might be cool just to see us doing it. So like I made mention earlier in the episode, in order to keep all these projects moving along, not only do you need to be buying donor swaps and keeping your eyes open for that, off camera, in order to keep these projects going, you need to make sure you're prepared by ordering parts for each build and that sort of stuff. Because we started the channel with the red Mk1 build, I really want to focus on making sure we don't lose track of that build. So in order to do that, I've been continuously ordering parts for this car, that when it comes time to getting it built, to put back together and continuing to finish this car and see this car through, we need to have a lot of stuff already on site. So I bought some of that stuff, and I thought it would be cool time for us to do a little bit of unboxing with these items. So let's take a look at them. What do I have here? Well, if you guys are into Mk1s or have been for a while, you start to recognize some of these logos on these boxes and know exactly what they are. But I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with opening them up. So taking a look at it, I think first we'll start off with this wooden box. Actually, maybe we'll leave that. It's kind of neat. We'll do that in the end. But right here, let's get into this. So in these boxes, which you may or may not recognize the logo here, is we have some polished flag mirrors. Now these are kind of on iconic early style Mk1 mirrors. Now again, to stick with the project and what the car looks like, or what I want it to look like, is a lot of the parts on the car, door handles, mirrors, bumpers, are all polished items. I already have the grille, I have the headlights, now I've just acquired those mirrors. Again, I don't want to copy this car as a carbon copy, but I want to use a lot of its hints and nuances and that sort of stuff to follow through on this car. So in order to do that, you need to pre-plan a lot of those items. So these mirrors are exactly that. Now, to keeping on with the polished program, you can see right here, I've acquired, obviously that's just sticky tape on top of that, but a fresh, fully polished set of handles for this car to go along with the polished mirrors. And keeping with the polished theme, brought to you by Small Bumpers, is their small bumper polished gas cap. And it's a lockable one, so I thought that was pretty cool. Polished stuff here as well. It came in this cool little gift box, which I think is pretty neat. It's actual wood, and we'll keep it in there until the day we need it. And as I showed you here, we got another small bumper box. So obviously you've put two and two together. If we look at what we have on this car, I already have the headlights, I already have the grille, now I have the mirrors, now I have the door handles, and I got the gas cap, which is on the other side of the car. Now what do I need last? Is the bumpers. Big long box, small bumpers written on it. I don't think it's too much of a guess to figure out what these are, but let's cut into them because I still haven't seen them yet. Oh my, now look at those. Woo! I'm pretty excited about that, that's for sure. So you got the end caps, full chrome bumpers, or sorry, I should say polished stainless bumpers. I got them with the signals, and like I said, I bought the whole kit. So got everything we needed to be able to get small bumpers, which are identical to the ones in the photo there, all set up on this car, and I couldn't be any more excited. This is a pretty awesome set of bumpers. I've always wanted a set of these, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to grab them. Now again, this is a pretty cool little polished parts haul. Again, got the stainless mirrors, flag mirrors, got that gas cap, got the handles, and obviously these bumpers. Now I'm not going to fully unwrap all this stuff because a lot of this stuff is going to be waiting for the car to be further along, so you get to the point to install this stuff. But man, am I ever excited about this stuff. It looks so good, and I can't wait to get this car into that type of condition. That's going to be so much fun to get there. So you guys understand where this car is going, and that's a lot of what I wanted to achieve in today's episode, was getting figured out on where I want this car to go, where I want this car to go, as well as where I wanted to go with the truck. And it's way over there, but everything's sitting there ready and waiting to help finish off these cars. So thanks very much for sticking in for today's episode. I thought this was a necessary thing. The subscriber base on this channel has grown, and it's going to continue to grow, and I thought it was a good opportunity for us to kind of let everybody know where we are on each project, what the goals are. From this point forward, I'm going to try not to add any more cars to this channel. We're going to stick to these 3 projects, and we're really going to start moving this stuff ahead. I'm going to continue full force to continue to work on this red car right now. As for my Mk1 VR6 project, we're going to continue to do some smaller episodes on that. I really want to wait for some dyno time to be able to take this car and put it on some wheels and see what we can achieve with fine-tuning this car. And then from time to time, we're going to check back in with the truck and continue to move ahead on some of the rust repair there. But since we've put to bed a lot of the rust repair, or most of the rust repair on this car, I don't want to keep building a channel based on rust repair and rust repair and rust repair. I want to start moving things ahead from the exciting standpoint of getting to work on, motor and powertrain swaps and that kind of thing. So I really want to keep that going, and I thought in order to do that, we need to have everything acquired, and I do that now. I got a lot of the swap parts coming still, as far as motor mount kits and that kind of thing, and that sort of stuff. But we'll visit that when the time comes. But for now, you guys know where these projects are headed, and I thought that was the main focus of today is to get you guys up to speed and let you know that we're going to continue full force on all these cars. So thanks again very much, everybody. Thanks for everybody who's stuck in there since the beginning with me and joining our channel and subscribing and all that sort of stuff. Thanks to everybody who's joined the channel since, and in the future, thanks for everybody who's just checking this out for the first time. So thanks very much, guys. Can't wait for next episode and what next week has in store. Until then, take care.